As the community of Loche prepares to bury those killed in last week's shooting, a message of hope yesterday from Prime Minister Justin Trudeau.
We will and we must work together to address the deeper issues facing our country that have yet again been highlighted by tragedy and heartbreak 1 week ago.
The remote community has struggled with serious issues in the past. Many in Loche went through residential schools or are descended from those who did. A remarkably high suicide rate and a lack of employment opportunities have also challenged the community. So what happens to Loche and other communities like it after the politicians and reporters have left? For more, we're joined in Ottawa by Carolyn Bennett, the Minister of Indigenous and Northern Affairs. So, Minister, many say that the visit by the Prime Minister was certainly a positive gesture, but what's needed, it needs to be backed up with action. And the town's mayor, as you know, is calling for 10-year funding for education, housing, infrastructure, health-related services. I mean, the list is long because the problems are deep. What's the government considering?
Well, of course, this terrible tragedy that we start with just our hearts go out to those families that are putting up with and grieving this yet another tragedy in that community. I am going to go to the community on the 9th to actually hear from them and to plan with them and to let them know that they've got a partner in this rebuilding. And the Clearwater River Dene First Nation and the Métis community, as well as the mayor and the city. This is the kind of thing that crosses many government departments, many jurisdictions, and we want to work with them on a plan to actually turn this around.
So how do you do that? You know, when you talk about alcohol and drug abuse, when you talk about has one of the highest, I believe the highest suicide rate in all of Saskatchewan, chronic unemployment, lack of opportunities. How do you even begin?
Well, I think you begin by understanding, as you'd said, about the history of residential schools has taken a terrible toll. And so that trauma that then leads to this intergenerational problem is where you have to begin in terms of children and hope and parenting and the kinds of things that were in the reports of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. So we start with the truth, and then we move to this kind of reconciliation that deals with the issues of children and school and jobs and the importance of a secure personal cultural identity where kids feel good about themselves and their way forward. We have to take those steps, and Loche is going to be a very good example of how we do this all together.
Now, earlier this week, after the ruling by the Canadian Human Rights Tribunal, you announced that you will be significantly increasing the dollars that are available for child welfare programs on reserves. Will communities like Loche that are not reserves but who have a high proportion of the community that happen to be First Nations, will they also be part of that?
Yeah, well, the Clearwater River Dene Nation is very in close proximity, but we believe that all children deserve a start in life, and that there are way too many children being apprehended and taken out of their families. So I will start on Monday sitting down with Dr. Blackstock, and she has written with her advisory committee very good reports. We're going to figure out how we can fix this system and fund it properly so that, if at all possible, we can keep those families intact, so that, again, the culture and history of their people is something to be proud of, and that we know that we have to start there.
We know that also the Canadian economy has been struggling lately, that there are a lot of other commitments that will be coming up in the budget. When you say that the money will be there and that there will be a significant increase, can you give us any indication as to what that will, how much of an increase, and will it work?
Well, there have been many reports, and including an Auditor General's report, saying how this is underfunded, which was the reason that in some ways we welcomed the tribunal report, because it shows we just have to get this right, and it has to be fair and equitable for all children in Canada. And so it is going to take the plan and the funding to actually be able to put in place the pieces that'll get us out of this, because the kids are dying.
And many people in the Loche, they went through, as you mentioned, the residential schools, or they're descended from those who did. Many point to, a history of colonialism, of land dispossession as root causes for all of this. So what can the government realistically hope to achieve as it moves forward in its plan to rebuild these communities and to stop, as you mentioned, children from dying?
I think the Truth and Reconciliation Commission calls to action are a very good beginning, and there is every understanding that the importance of language and culture in those schools and in that upbringing is really, really important. And so by getting the quality of preschool and education there and opportunities in post-secondary education, this is a long-term project, as you've heard, but we have to start with the children, and we're going to figure this out, but we're going to do it in partnership with the people in the communities who know most about it.
What about something that has been brought up controversially, not in any kind of forced way, but the idea of moving children, moving people to southern Canada, where there are more employment opportunities, where their safety may be better, where the education may be better, where there's more drinkable water?
Well, I mean, that's up to individual families and the individual communities to decide. I think that we have an obligation, though, as Canada, to make all of the communities livable and thriving, and with broadband and with all of the exciting opportunities in terms of technology, there are lots of places, remote places, that are able to demonstrate what Canada's north can be. I was in Iqaluit yesterday. It is exciting to see the hope that's there about that territory, and as Sheila Watt Cloutier has said, the right to be cold. People have an attachment to the land and to their land and their ancestors, and it is really important that there are always choices, but our obligation right now is to make those communities livable.
Minister, we appreciate you taking the time. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And that was the Minister of Indigenous and Northern Affairs, Carolyn Bennett, in Ottawa.